Welcome back to News Talk. Bravo TV has developed a new Real Housewives spinoff, which is sure to make waves in the Washington region. The Real Housewives of Potomac is set to debut in 2016. And here to give us the scoop on the production, we're joined by Washington Post columnist Emily Heil. Thanks for being here, Emily.
Glad to be here.
So why Potomac?
Well, it's wealthy, which is sort of a prerequisite for a housewife setting. Another reason is Bravo tried to kind of get Washington on its reality TV cameras back in 2009 with the Real Housewives of Dc, and that failed pretty spectacularly. They just weren't that interesting. The drama, I think, was sort of kept to a minimum because in official Washington, anyone who's vaguely connected to official Washington, you know, they have clients, they have constituents. There's a certain level of decorum that just doesn't, you know, meet the standards for housewives in the Bravo franchise. And so this is sort of another bite at this area's apple. And Potomac is very wealthy, and I think it was more a matter of finding the cast and then deciding where to set it.
So we were just watching looking at visuals from the trailer from the Real Housewives of Potomac. It does seem like a risk, though, where you compare this with the other franchises, each of them, each respective cast representing or reflecting geographic stereotypes, if you will. The OC, New York, New Jersey, Beverly Hills, Atlanta, all of them come with a certain visual that we have of who lives there, what those cities are like. Potomac doesn't really have that identity. In fact, most people don't even know what Potomac is.
Well, Potomac is very quiet. It's this quiet little hamlet outside of D.C. It's often described as a bedroom community. So, yeah, I think the trailer does kind of make it look a lot glitzier and more glam than it really is. You know, but this is sort of giving you a peek behind those doors of those McMansions. So we're going to get a little bit of the inside drama of some of these women who live here. Now, also an interesting choice, this is an African-American cast, and actually they acknowledge this, that the African-American community in Potomac is actually quite small. So you really feel like you're getting this very, like, inside the inside of a club.
Like they all know each other.
Well, they don't, actually. That's kind of one of the interesting things, is I think that they're trying to set this up as this, you know, pre-existing social network. But in fact, only 2 of the 6 women that we know of actually had, you know, real strong social ties. So they're kind of throwing these women together and hoping that the drama will foment, unlike other casts of Real Housewives on Bravo, where there actually are relationships that pre-existed, you know, the camera rolling.
Emily, you're saying that a cast on reality TV, they're not really friends?
I know, shocker.
So in the show openings for these different franchises, the OC Housewives hold oranges, Atlanta holds peaches. Any idea what these ladies are holding? Of cherry blossoms, buckets of polluted water from the Potomac?
You know, I don't know, maybe like little mini horses or something. It's very equestrian. I don't know. You really have your Bravo housewife knowledge down there. I'm impressed.
Oh, I'm a bit of an addict, I confess. It helps you relax at the end of a stressful day. So who are these women who are in this cast? Anyone of note that people would know?
Well, the one name I think people will know, former Wizards coach Eddie Jordan, his wife Cherise Jackson Jordan, is sort of what we're told from people who know about the production, is she's sort of the glue of this cast. She's sort of the matriarch of this little group of faux friends, and so, you know, I think she's going to play a role. She's someone that people might recognize. Other than that, you know, there's sort of up and coming women who we might not have heard about in this region, or certainly not nationally. So, you know, they're going to be trying to make their mark. If you know anything about Real Housewives, and of course you do, but your viewers might not. The more screen time, the way to secure screen time is to create drama. So I think we can look for which housewife will try to, you know, stir up as much drama as possible, because that's how you get the airtime.
So 2010's Real Housewives of DC, you mentioned, was such a failure, not just in the ratings, but also the politics that came with the Salahi debacle at the state dinner. And the Real Housewives of D.C., it got a lot of flack from Washingtonians the casting of women who lived in Virginia, all of them didn't even live in D.C., and frankly, most of them being white women. There was only one woman of color, Stacey Turner, in a city that's known for its racial and global diversity. And as you mentioned, this cast in Potomac is all African American. And I'm wondering, how do you think locals are responding to the cast, to the fact that the franchise is in Potomac?
Well, I did speak to some folks who live in Potomac, and I think that what they're kind of concerned about is that, is this going to actually represent Potomac? Does this really reflect what this little town is like? And, I think we all understand how reality TV works. Pretty much nothing is real. And so there's not a sense that it's going to really reflect what most people who live in Potomac, what their day-to-day life is like. This is obviously a very heightened version of reality. Some people are, saying, I spoke to the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Some said, oh, I'm moving out of Potomac now that the Real Housewives are here. And some people are just kind of curious. They want to see how it plays out. They get that it's sort of, a bit of a circus has come to town, and they want to watch it play out.
I bet local real estate agents are excited about this with all that real estate on display.
They do make it look pretty great, those giant mansions. There's some yachts involved. There's some country clubbing going on. So, maybe it does make the area look, more attractive.
Posh. Yeah. Well, Emily, do you know if the women, the storylines, will they wander into Washington at all, or will the storylines pretty much stick to Potomac?
It looks that way. It looks like there's going to be some wandering into Washington proper. I think they're sort of using Potomac as a home base, but at least some of the shoots that we've seen in this trailer, at least one or two of these locations actually weren't in Potomac proper. So, who knows if this gets renewed, you can look for, some roaming housewives all over the region.
Well, and in the other franchises, Beverly Hills, the focus is on all the housewives and their relations to Hollywood and the media industry. In New York, there's different women promoting their brands in the city, and in New Jersey, it's promoting Italian foods. The local industry here is politics, but that, again, was such a failure in the D.C. version in 2010. It's unlikely that they're going to dip into politics in this show?
Absolutely not. Andy Cohen, who's one of the executive producers at Bravo, has specifically said they're staying away from politics. Clearly, that just was not a good formula, and for obvious reasons. So it doesn't seem like there's some sort of central, theme around these housewives. They don't, you went through the themes of the other cast pretty well. They don't have something like that to sort of center around. So I think we'll look for the usual, family dramas, the sort of cat fights within the group. I think, they're going to play up this idea of this is a very exclusive club and who gets entry into it and who doesn't. So who's the outsider? Who are the insiders? How do you break into this club?
Right.
I think that's going to be sort of a theme for them. But you're right, they don't have a central driving, something to coalesce around.
We'll have to watch and see. Emily Heil, our reliable source today at the Washington Post. Thanks so much for your insight.
Sure.
We're back with the program note right after this.